So after our, I guess it'd be our explicit weekend at No Name Nationals in Sikeston, Missouri, my strive for the fives just never happened with the T-Bird because it just couldn't get enough fuel. It ended up smoking a fuel pump on the last pass that I had, just I guess probably from the amount of fuel that it was trying to get. So I do have two fuel pumps, so that problem is just fixed by turning the first fuel pump on sooner, or the secondary fuel pump on sooner. I do have another fuel pump, so I'll make that work. But today we're shopping at the most unlikely place to get parts for your race car when you're shooting for the 590s. We're at Express Pull and Save in Laverne, Tennessee. I'm going to see if I can find a set of injectors and whatever else race car parts I could find. I know I say that, but it's kind of in jest, but yet it's not, because a lot of people would just essentially run the credit card going to Summit Racing, and in all actuality, most of the parts, if you do your homework, you can find them in the junkyard. That's where most of them came from. That's how the original hot rodder started, and that's why I like doing it that way. You can get them cheaper. You just got to know what you're looking for. So it's all about cross-referencing and figuring out the information that you need. I'm shooting for a starter for an LT1. Hopefully there's a Roadmaster wagon or a Caprice or something in here with an LT motor in it I can get the starter off of for my super stock Buick 350. Then I can get to work on making a set of headers for that thing, as well as I need to find a bell crank assembly for the clutch linkage from something that's similarly close, and then I'll just cut it and modify it and make it work for what I need it for. So that's where we're at today. But right now it's going to be look for an LT starter. So we'll see how it goes. Stick around. Okay, so here's the scenario. I already found my hot rod parts that I'm after at the junkyard, and I always go in with no tools to begin with, because I walk around. If there's nothing there that I can take, then I don't have to lug the tools around the whole way, right? And I try to look for stuff. If I'm taking, like, say, in this case was injectors, I didn't get any. But what I was looking for was trying to find a truck that somebody had taken the fuel rail or the intake manifold off of, and the injectors were still in there. That way you let them do all the work, and all you do is pull the injectors. So I always do a once through in the junkyard. That's what I've done today. But as it goes right now, I found my first subject for some hot rod parts, which is here. You can't see it too well. This is like a 96 Cadillac DeVille, a full-size car, same as a Caprice, same as a Buick Roadmaster. The only thing is these didn't come in a wagon. I always wanted to pull the front end off one of these and put it on a wagon, like a Caprice wagon, and then make myself a Cadillac wagon, because nobody had one. Cadillac made some in the wagons and a truck model way back when, in like the 70s, right? Late 60s, early 70s. But very few have been around since the invention of the CTSV wagon. So, but this one has an LT engine in it, and it has the starter on it, so I'm going to pull it off. All right, so give me just a second, and I'll give you some tips and pointers to do this. Okay, so here we are. Here's our subject Cadillac. All right, so one thing, it just got done raining here at the junkyard. You can see it's wet. It dries up pretty quick because of the rocks, but the problem is every time I was a kid going to the junkyard, it was always in swampy ass Illinois. And there's a trick to this. You'll find that underneath the car is pretty wet. That's because the sun doesn't get to it, so water runs in there. It's always soupy and wet and all that. But there's a simple trick, okay? This first things first, you always open up the car and see what's in there in the car that can help you out. All right, so here's the floor mat. Grab the floor mat, and you know, if you're really wanting to do it right, you grab the passenger side floor mat, because it's always cleaner than the driver's side. And then you throw your floor mat under there, okay? So now you don't have to lay in the soup trying to take this starter off. You can literally go under there, lay on that floor mat, and when you're done, just leave it there. It's the junkyard. It's the reason why most of this stuff is here, okay? No one's gonna cry. If that's not the case, say you don't have a floor mat, you can't find anything, this is the next, this in my opinion is probably the best thing. This is, I just searched around, found an SUV that was open, and this is the entire trunk skirt inside the SUV with the jute backing on it, right? Now it is a little bit wet, no big deal. I'm just trying to keep from getting, you know, nasty. But you take the entire SUV jute backing and you throw it upside down,
okay? Because whatever happened on the other side, let's say that birthed some kittens or somebody OD'd in the car or whatever, you're laying on the clean side, the side that was down. So put it in there upside down. And now we're literally ready to pull the starter out. Give me a few minutes and I'll get her out. Okay, well, here's the score. This is for big block Buick 13-to-1 compression. This sucker will turn it over. It's a small gear reduction starter available from General Motors on 94 to 96 full size Roadmaster, stuff like that. You can actually get one off of Vet too, but they're a lot less common. Anything with an LT motor and it has this little starter on it, and it is a direct bolt on for a Buick. But here's how: you have to get the bolts. The bolts are critical. You got to take the bolts with it. I just normally crawl up under there. I bring some dikes, or in this case I had tin snips, and I just cut the wires off and then take the bolts out. She falls right out. Take you 5 minutes. And my back is not covered in mud and dirt. So thanks to our SUV floor pan cover, we're good to go. And now the next guy can crawl up in there and get a starter. Okay, so here's our next subject into the junkyard. Somebody's dropped off this actually really clean tub 63 Corvair. Okay, and I know what you're saying, Corvair, what the hell are you working on, right? Well, this is the Y body platform. This is exactly the same platform as our 63 Special. Okay, very similar body, but my 63 Special has all the window regulator channels. The regulators are there, but it's worn out, and or not the regulator, the channel that the window sits in is completely rusted and gone and just junk, right? Well, I noticed here's the one for this 63 Corvair. I bet it's pretty much the same, and if you look, it's a straight up and down window, pretty much like the one in my Buick Special. I don't know if they're the same window or not, but it probably won't cost too much for this glass and that channel, okay? And I didn't have to take a damn thing out. It's in here laying in the car. So score number 2, I've spent 5 minutes here at the junkyard after I did my initial walk around to find the parts I needed. So now I'm going to take this stuff, go pay for it, and then I got to go back and get a LS injector harness so I can cut it all up. I didn't find any injectors, but I just need a harness so I can sacrifice it to the gods of speed. Okay, so I'm back in my home base Cadillac DeVille, and here we go. Here's the injector harness I took out of a 2009 Chevy Suburban, and it has the same injectors as what I needed, so they're long gone. But the harness, that means that they'll plug right in on my injectors when I do get a set of injectors. And then I also noticed that, look how clean the floor is in this Cadillac DeVille. All right, well, it's going to look pretty good in my 63 Buick, because I'm going to come cut the entire transmission tunnel out of it and put it in that 63 Buick. So that way I have enough room to run a drive shaft and all the other stuff. So I think since this one's pretty clean and solid, and I'll have to remove a couple of doodads here and there, but I'm just going to cut it out. And it's going to be plenty long because it's in a B body. So graft it right in my 63 Buick and cut off what I don't need. So I'll be back maybe tomorrow or Sunday. Cut her out. That's all I got for you now. I'll catch you later.